What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
The More Show is supported by Mindscape, Paranormal and UFO Matrix magazines, available for download on all major digital platforms. The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching the UK's only alternative late-night talk show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm joined with Michael Brill, who describes himself as a number disguised as a human being. Now, he speaks passionately talking about how cosmic numerology identifies detours, points of interest, healing, as well as a marked path to one's destination and much more. Now, Michael has been a numerologist since 1985 and has worked with schools, businesses and governments, including 10 years with the aerospace industry and 2 years with NASA. Now, he is the author of Know Your Numbers, Know Yourself, and he has appeared on Fox Television and over 450 radio programs nationally and internationally, and authored a number of books on the subject of cosmic numerology. Michael Brill, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kevin. What a pleasure it is to be on the air with you. Thank you.
Well, what a pleasure it is to have you on the air as well. And I know we didn't quite make our times just right now, so we're just recording this a bit later. But I'm so glad, that we are doing this, because numerology has always been a favorite subject of mine. And your stance on numerology comes from a completely different aspect of it as well, that I've not heard before, which is really exciting and will be great for the audience. But just to begin with, just tell us a bit about your background as well.
Well, let's start with the fact that I'm actually a number disguised as a human being. That in itself, I think, is pretty unique. The numbers actually talk to me. I have 2 master's degrees, one in special ed, another administration supervision. I spent 10 years in aerospace, 30 years teaching, between university and primary schools, and spent a couple years working at NASA. I first got involved with numerology in 1985, and I'm a firm believer now. I wasn't then, but I'm a firm believer that everything in the universe is set up. And if you can recognize that setup and take advantage of it, it always comes out to your benefit. So the way I got this job in aerospace, I had quit teaching. With my degrees and 15 years of experience, I wasn't making enough money to support a family. I just quit. I had a mortgage, car payments, no money in the bank, and no job. And my wife and everybody else thought I was crazy. I went to a job interview, a job fair. And I spoke to, let's just say, 29 out of 30 people, and they all said no. I got to the last one, and just as I'm about to lean in and have the interview with her, the woman next to me has one of these giant drinks, and now I know the universe pushed her arm, but it spilled all down the front of my suit. So I looked at her, and I looked at the interviewer, and I leaned in, and I said, listen, I'm so excited to work for this company, I wet my pants. Give me a job. And they did. And 2 weeks later, the two guys I'm working with quit. A young woman comes in. We start talking. And she says she's seeing a numerologist. I said, what? Well, yeah, this guy takes the letters of your name, the numbers of your birthday, tells you all about yourself. Now, I have to tell you, I was involved spiritually at the time. I was in ARE. I did Spiritual Frontier Fellowship, working with psychic stuff. But when it came to numbers, I just didn't like them. I never took a math class after 7th grade. I took shop instead. So I just didn't get along with numbers. But 2 weeks later, I came back. I said, what's his name? I went to see him. He blew my socks off. And I apprenticed to him for 8 years. And then we reached a point where I'm pretty familiar in hearing, well, you're doing things with numbers numerologists don't do. So I knew at that point it was time to move on. Every teacher needs to become a student at some point. When they're not willing to do that, then they really have nothing else to teach you, and it's time to move on. So that's what happened.
That is interesting. So I was going to say that to you as well. So you didn't just, find numerology and then, have this self-aware moment that there may be more to this existence than this. You'd actually, you'd actually worked with or visited the ARE in Virginia, the, what's it stand for?
Yes.
Advanced Research.
Edgar Cayce's.
Yeah, the Edgar Cayce. Yeah, the ARE's got an actual name, hasn't it? I can't think of it at the top of my head. Yes, but you actually studied the works of Edgar Cayce.
Yes.
Wow.
So I was familiar with all of this, but I'd never heard anything about numbers. And now I can honestly say, if somebody can learn 45 words, 5 reactive behavior patterns for each number, and be able to flip letters into numbers, AJS is 1, BKT is 2, etc., you have 90% of the information you need to decipher the entire universe. This is how simple numerology is. Absolutely amazing and so accurate.
That's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you do your numerology, and as you've advanced your understanding of numerology to go into cosmic numerology as well, would you say that sometimes it's sort of channeled to you, these numbers?
I would say 100% of the time it's channeled to me.
See, that's interesting because that's what Cayce did as well. He was a channel in a sense, wasn't he?
That's why I call myself a number disguised as a human being. We speak the same language. And when I'm doing a chart, I rarely, if ever, look at my client. I'm looking down at the chart and all the patterns are just snapping together. I color code my charts. So it's very easy to see where all the repetitive patterns, your challenges and karma show up. And I just, I listen to what they say and I talk, and it's pretty interesting. We can play a little bit later. One of the things I do is I use what's called the achievement number. This is your month and day of birth reduced to a single digit. Your month and day of birth equals 29. 2 and 9 make 11, 1 and 1 make 2. So you're 29/2. And this indicates to me what your core issue is and what your greatest strength would also be. So, for example, when I see a 2 achievement number, I'll say to somebody, when you were young, were you called shy or timid? Did you have any upper respiratory problems or stiffness with your neck or difficulty with your spine? And if the answer is yes, then I know they were shy or timid as a child. If the answer is no, then I know they need to put a little padding on the end of that hammer of truth they have a tendency to beat people with. They can be a little blunt sometimes. So these little pieces of information then allow me to take a snapshot of the whole chart and know the direction to go in for the reading.
Very, very interesting. Okay. Now, just for those who have come across this video and never come across my channel or your work, let's just start with the beginning here. What, in its basic form, is numerology, and where did it come from?
Okay. Numerology is the science of numbers. It's very, very ancient. In the West, we use a system developed by Pythagoras, the Greek mathematician, who also came up with the diatonic scale. And there's not much information available on him other than he was done away with by his contemporaries, which I can fully understand because with numbers, you know everything. If you gave me 3 single-digit numbers based on a category, I could tell you what's going on in your life because the numbers represent the vibratory frequencies of creation. This is why I call it cosmic numerology. Everything in the cosmos vibrates. If it vibrates, we can measure it. And what do we use to measure things? Letters and numbers. The core of my work, and this is going to take about 6 minutes to explain, that is there a video? Are we going to be seen? Can I make a gesture?
Of course, you're on video now.
Okay, so we have a cosmic essence, which is eternal. It's that one particle of energy with an electric charge that attracts other particles for each lifetime. And we pick out a soul, a celestial aspect, and we pick out an earthly aspect. And these two are like yin-yang together. In that state, they review all past lives. What have we mastered? What do we avoid? What have we screwed up? What are we afraid to embrace or even release? After this review, they know we're coming into a new age, a 26,000-year cycle. That's the amount of time it takes our entire solar system to make one revolution as itself is spinning through the Milky Way galaxy. So knowing this new age is coming, the ego and the soul decide, okay, we're going to pick on the issues we put off the longest because we want to enter this time as clean as possible. So for many people, this is one of the most intense lives they'll lead in many lifetimes. So in this yin-yang state, after the review, they pick the letters of your name and the numbers of your birthday, and then whisper this information into the ears of your prospective parents or adoptive parents. And I'll get to that in a moment. So your first name is how you behave at work. Your middle name, how you behave in your relationships. The last name represents the family dynamic you chose to be born to, and what are you to learn from them, and what are they to learn from you? Now, as a major generalization, if there is no middle name, these individuals have a tendency to be very intense or very flat. If they're flat and hold the emotions in, they will explode at some point. And the ones that are always exploding ultimately get a little bit more calm. So if I make this generalization, Asian cultures with no middle name are somewhat self-restrictive, holding things in. And Latinos with no middle name can be somewhat intense. Again, I say this as a generalization, but I just got back from China and it's right on. Nobody has a middle name and everybody had a 2 karma. So it was all about dealing with others. I was in Beijing. There's 22 million people there. It's insane. I live in Tucson, Arizona. It's like a ghost town compared to Beijing, but I love it here. So you pick your name. The letters of your name represent your emotional and psychological self, as well as the timing of events in your life. So for example, 7, 11, beginning at the age of 12, until you were 21, life was pretty intense. At 12, at 21, and the midway mark, which would be 16, 17 years old.
And this is for me, yeah.
Yeah, just for you, based on the letters in your name. So the letters we omit represents karma. Karma is neither good nor bad. It's just unfinished business. And as I mentioned earlier, with the achievement number, which very few numerologists use, this will put together a challenge and solution chart for you. Every number has a challenge. Every number has a solution, guaranteed success. So after we pick our name, our birthday represents our destiny, our mental phases called subcycles, the pinnacles, and they also determine our life challenges. Everything is worked out. We then whisper this name into the ears of our birth parent or our adoptive family. An adoption means that you either owed the birth family or they owed you, and once you were born, the debt is canceled, and you go to the family you need to be with to do what you came here to do. So we've got a name, we got a birthday, we have a birth or adopted family. The last thing we do is we want to make sure we have enough grace to pull this off. So we put our hands in our pocket to pull out our bank book full of grace. When we put our hand around it, it's so thick we can't get it out. We try and try and try. We can't get it out. So we go, this is going to be a breeze, no problem. So now we approach this, for lack of a better term, a veil that separates the celestial and earthly realm. The energy on the earthly realm is much more dense than it is on the other side. And so the moment we touch the veil, the celestial soul self, it's like putting your finger in an electric socket. You get shocked, blown across the room, bang your head, you're dazed, you're confused, you don't know where you are. Meanwhile, the earthly self, or the ego, which I define as the physical body, your emotions and your feelings, everything that makes you physical. The earthly body wakes up and it's thriving in this energy, but all of a sudden it looks around. Where is everybody? Why is it dark? Am I the only one? Is this it? Am I being punished? Doesn't anybody love me? Have I been left behind? Have I been abandoned? And so we have the beginnings of what I call a cosmic abandonment issue, or a sense of being cut off from the universe. And this is the basis of all human behavior as I see it. And so just before the soul can regain its senses and we can be born with full knowledge of who we are, we come out. And the first thing they generally do is cut the umbilical cord. The ego says, hold it right there. Not happening. Got cut off from source once, it's not happening a second time. As a result, I believe universally, all human beings then develop two basic behavior patterns. One is control. You'll do for or not do for others, but you don't let anybody do for you. They're not reliable, they're not trustworthy, they're not fast enough, they're just not, you can't trust them. And then we get agitated, nobody ever does for us. At the other end of the behavior spectrum is codependency. And there's three basic subgroups. Clingers, fearful of being alone, remain in abusive situations. Enablers, people that do things they really don't want to do but do anyway, so they won't be abandoned. And doers, people that make themselves indispensable so that no one can live without them and they won't be abandoned. So like water in a tube, we slosh back and forth between both poles of the spectrum here. Occasionally, we hit this center spot of actually doing what we love. That center spot is similar. I don't know if you have these games in England or not, but they're little cardboard things with steel balls in them with a little plastic coating, and you got to line up all the balls. Well, when we do, that's when everything is going well for us. And it doesn't last long because, like a dog chasing a cat, all of a sudden we reach the end of the leash, we're jerked back, and the first thing we do is blame the universe. I did everything you want. I made all the sacrifices. Why aren't you supporting me? It's actually the ego sabotaging the soul. That's what we do because of this cosmic abandonment issue. There's an exercise on my website in an article called The 4 Phases of Growth. It takes less than 5 minutes where you can actually integrate your ego and your soul by your essence facilitating a dialogue.
Absolutely.
So we have this cosmic abandonment issue. Before I go any further, I need to raise 2 points. Point number one, as I said before, no one has our fingerprints. We're one of a kind. Therefore, whatever we do, whether it's making breakfast or clipping our nails or doing brain surgery, if we do the best we can every single moment we're engaged, we're automatically the best in the universe at what we do. Point number two, we hire what I call employees. We write these little scripts energetically. You can embarrass me, and you can get me agitated, you can lie, you can betray me. And they act it out. We like what they do. We put them on the payroll. We pay them time and a half on weekends, triple time to family members to push our buttons. How do you know the employee has shown up? Your blood pressure either goes up 100 points instantly, or you're tied up in knots down in your gut. Either feeling, immediately go to your head, mentally take a step to the side and say, oh, one of my employees have just shown up. What am I paying him to teach me? This is a change in perspective that you get away from doing to be loved or maintaining control, having to be validated or justified or appreciated or thanked or recognized, and you start doing what feels right for you from your heart. This is when your life begins to change. This is when all the challenges flip over to proactive solutions. And that's the crux to my work.
Yeah, and we're going to get back into what you've just said as well, but I think something that makes you very different as well is, bridging in reincarnation along with the numbers, which you've mentioned. Okay, not all numerologists do that, so that's interesting. And what you call cosmic numerology as well. Now, firstly, is cosmic numerology something that you came up with?
Yes.
Okay, and if you could just very, very, very briefly, what is cosmic numerology?
Well, very briefly, cosmic is the cosmos. Everything in the cosmos vibrates. If it vibrates, it can be measured. And we usually use letters and numbers to measure things. That's cosmic numerology. I measure the vibrations of creation, whether it's a country, a company, a corporation, an individual, a pet, a cartoon character, or a character in a fictional book. It works across the board.
Right. And again, for those, first times coming into numerology, right. We could say that numerology is pretty much a science.
Absolutely. Science comes up with formulas. And then they say, follow this formula and you should get the same results. If the same results are achieved each time it's done, following the formula, then it's validated. Well, if somebody who never knew numerology walks up here, I can give them enough information in 5 minutes where they can decipher something. I can do it in more detail, but they could do the same thing. That's what makes it a science. Follow the formula. The answers are consistent. Yeah. The key is getting your ego out of the way and let the numbers talk to you. The problem with numerologists or astrologers or psychics is they filter. They're not getting out of the way and becoming a channel for the information to come through because they still have issues of doing to be loved or maintaining control.
And I can imagine that, even though they feel that they're trying their best to get out the way, it's a lifetime's worth of work, I guess, for some people, to not be that filter that gets in the way. But yet they are living their purpose, though, a lot of them.
Yes, but not as proactively as they can. And so what we have are illnesses and diseases, which are all behaviorally associated.
How do you get out of the way of your work then?
I lived alone for 14 years. And I spend a lot of time. I don't live in large cities if I can avoid it. I live at the fringe of the city. I live in the Southwest. And I spend as much time as I can up in the mountains, out in the forest, or in the desert, and just open myself up. But the key is, my tagline is, it's not my movie. Everybody's got a name. Everybody's got a birthday. Everybody's got a movie. I'm not going to jump in and fix them because I have information and I can help them. That's my need to be loved and appreciated. I don't need that anymore. I'm just a messenger. It's like I work for the Postal Service. Here's a message. You want it? I'm putting it in your box. It's up to you to open the letter and deal with it.
Without caring if it upsets them or, how they receive that. It's just your honest opinion on what's coming channeled through you with the information that's coming through with the numbers.
Yeah, well, the key here, yes, I agree with you, but the key is this information comes through my heart, not my head.
Yes, it's not of you, it's through you. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now you've mentioned you mentioned loads of interesting things actually. Which I will say this, your books are coming on the screen right now. I think one of them is Numerology for Healing, and the other is Numerology for Decoding Behavior, your personal numbers at work, with family, and in relationships. There's a lot more information in those books than what we're going to touch on tonight.
Yes, briefly. Numerology for Healing takes 185 illnesses and diseases, breast cancer, warts, ulcers, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, STDs, whatever it is. They're turned into a number. I use gematria, which is an ancient Kabbalistic art. And I had a vision one day that said, do it in English. You don't need to do it in Hebrew, which I don't speak anyway. And it's extremely accurate. When I take the letters of an illness or disease and convert them into numeric patterns, it describes the behavior that has brought this into their life. Now, as part of this, I've developed what I call Numeric Daisy-Chain. A Numeric Daisy-Chain, imagine you're out in a field and you're surrounded by flowers, and you're going to make a flower chain of daisies. You grab one, you hook it together, the next one, and the last one you hook back into the first one to complete a circle. And so in these numeric daisy chains, the first number and the last number are the same. They are superscripted numbers, which reveal your reactive pattern of doing to be loved or maintaining control, which brought this into your life. And then there's proactive patterns, which you follow to get it out of your life. This is very beneficial for homeopaths who need to know the emotional component so they can prescribe. This is what the book does. For any health professional, this will give you the background of what caused it, and then use your own modality, your own knowledge and wisdom to neutralize it. The other book, is called Numerology for Decoding Behavior. This book, you don't need to know any numerology to use. And this book, with a little practice, in a matter of seconds, will allow you to understand somebody's behavior pattern using their month and day of birth and the first vowel, first consonant of a name. So, for example, Kevin, K-E, is K is the second letter, 11th letter, which reduces to 2, and E is a 5. If you add 2 and 5, you get 7. If you subtract 2 from 5, you get 3. And so you have a tendency to be a little scattered, trying to do too much for too many, and occasionally you can be a little disappointed, upset with people for not appreciating what you're doing, but they never asked you to do it. And so we come back down to your achievement number, your month and day of birth, which equals 29, and it's about learning to let go of attachment, coming from love, speaking up in a timely fashion, letting go of emotional and sentimental attachments, be the harmonizer, mediator, and balancer. You have a great voice. Obviously, you're on the radio, so you're using it. And your destiny, which turns out to be a 9, involves electrical and electronic things and being here for the world at large, being on stage, so to speak. So you're also fulfilling your destiny by doing this job.
That's very interesting, because I channel as well. It's told me that I'm going to put together a spiritual TV channel, something much bigger to bring people together. Interesting, that.
And it'll happen within this 9-year cycle, because you're only in the second year of that cycle. It goes 9 years. So last year was new beginnings, new starts. This year you have assistance to help you, whether it's cosmic assistance or human assistance, but you need to ask for that help, and then be very specific what you want them to accomplish. And the help will be here. And then next year, by October of this year, it'll start being birthed. The birthing will take place in 17, and then by 2018, it's a lot of work. You're going to be building the foundation and really busy. So I see it happening rather quickly.
Okay, I am actually planning now, to start my journey to America in September. Yeah. For the first 3 months, I'm off to the ARE, believe it or not, to spend 3 months in Virginia just to get some final training with not final training, but to get to meet the right people to further my channeling. That was something I just decided as a New Year's resolution that I'm going to do, because I've always wanted to move to the States. Yeah.
If you can make it out west, you're more than welcome. I got a second bedroom. I'd love to have you out here and show you some numerology.
Thank you very, very much. Hey, who knows, man? That this could happen.
It's on the table.
It's on the table. It's on the cards, in the numbers. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for that. Well, thank you for just sharing. See, I wanted to share my numbers with the audience, just so that because we're going to get to the services that you offer as well. And actually, I've got to say that was quite accurate. So thank you for that. Okay. Now, just getting back as well. To what you were saying before, that actually when we're in alignment, it's when we're in purpose. Now, would you say that you love what you do?
Oh my God, yes. This is my passion. It's been my passion for 30 years. And I've made a covenant with the universe. And as long as I hold up my end, I am totally taken care of. I wanted to go to China about 4 years ago and do some work. And I got to Thailand, things happened, and they had floods and I had to come back. But then this September, I got an email from somebody in China that wanted me to come and teach. And so they bought the ticket and I went over and I did China and I made great connections. And my books will be published in China and I'm going back in 18 months. And it's just, the key here, everybody takes classes, everybody reads books, everybody wants to make it happen. The key is very, very simple. Life is like a restaurant. Order what you like and expect it to arrive. When we go to a restaurant and sit down, the wait staff cannot do anything for us until we place an order. Once we place that order, we never doubt that what we ordered is coming out. We'll phone somebody, we'll text somebody, we'll read a book or a paper, whatever it is. We have no emotional attachment to the outcome. And then the meal comes out and we get what we ordered. Life is the same way. Let go of any emotional attachment to the outcome. Put your order into the cosmic restaurant and just let it go. It's a busy restaurant. There's several billion people in this restaurant.
And sometimes what we get out may be not quite what we ordered, but it's always better.
Yeah, but send it back and wait for what you exactly want. If you wanted well done and you got medium rare, send it back. This is what I want. We are the representatives on Earth for the cosmic beings. We're the ones doing the heavy work. So we get what we need, but we need to ask them for that first. And with this cosmic abandonment issue, people don't think that they're connected, so they don't ask.
But going back to what you said as well, you did say in a sense, and I'm kind of paraphrasing your words here, that when you're most centered, it's when you're living your purpose. Yeah, when you're doing what you love to do. And I have seen that with people. And can that, what we love to do, change over time? It can, can't it?
Not really. We have a life calling number. This is the total of your birthday added to the total of your name. This is your passion. Now, that passion can be fulfilled. Let's say your life calling is 37-1. You're here to be a leader and an innovator, shift a paradigm, download information from the universe, be a manifester, a creator, a writer, and a speaker, and get these messages out. Now, you may do that on the radio. You may do that as a mental health professional. You may do that on a soapbox in Trafalgar Square. So you're still getting the message out. You're
Right.
still following your passion,
Yes, yes.
but in different
Yeah,
ways.
it's the platform which you do it through. It could be through a completely different platform which you could ever imagine, but it's still that going through that platform. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we can't. Yeah, it's difficult sometimes to overanalyze it and say, "Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing?" Yet I'm enjoying the process. I guess, if you do go off road a bit, then it's only going to bring you back. It always does with me.
Right. And for everybody else, the difficulty when one chooses to step on the path of spiritual evolvement, there's two general questions people will ask themselves. The first is, what if I become so spiritual I have to leave the people I love? And the second one is, well, if I leave them, will I find anybody else to love me? And so the answer is, most people, is uncertainty. And so they will stay where they're at instead of making the move. But what they have to understand is, you don't have to leave your family. All you need to do is take one step forward, whether that step is a millimeter or a quantum leap. It doesn't matter as long as you move forward. That's the key.
Yeah, moving forward. Yes, yes, yes. Life's always got a way of pushing you or just nudging you if you don't do it sometimes, or you're not too sure. There's always a door opening somewhere.
Right, but that space between the doors is really dark, and that's what panics people. But when one door closes, another one always opens. It's just the hallway is pretty dark.
Well, I'll say this, myself, for the audience, myself going to Virginia for 3 months, looking to get a visa long term, for the States. But that idea of going there is, I've got to go through the darkness to get to the joy. What I mean by that is, by facing the fear and going beyond the fear, there's something much better. Trust in life.
Absolute, guaranteed every time.
Yeah.
If you can let go of what you're holding on to, what replaces it is always better. That's a guarantee.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Guarantee.
And it goes back to what.
Let me just give you an
Sure.
aside.
Okay.
On your Virginia trip, don't go July, August, and the beginning of September. It's very hot and it's very humid. So just take note of the weather.
Are you saying us Brits aren't used to the hot weather? We're not. It's okay.
Well, it gets hot and humid on that East Coast. I used to live in Maryland, and that's why I'm living out west now. There's no humidity here. It's just gorgeous and clear.
Yeah.
But just think about the weather. Check the weather out.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because I'm actually planning to go the last week of September, so October, November, December, then just come back for Christmas.
Listen, it'll be gorgeous because the leaves change color. You won't be too far from a place called Skyline Drive, or any place up in the mountains. It'll be beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you pointers later.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, I've seen some of the places, the mountains over there. They're beautiful. But and so yeah. By sharing that, I hope it helps people just to realize that, go beyond the fear, and you'll be amazed what lies beyond there. Okay.
So do you want to get back to your chart, and I can talk a little bit just about Kevin?
Well, I do, but just before we do that, I like your book, Numerology for Healing. I would probably say to the audience, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that might be a first book to start with yourself, because it's a bit more of an easy read. Yeah? Would you say?
Actually, I think it was originally supposed to be published as a workbook, so you can go through and work the formulas and figure things out. But the publisher at that time was afraid that libraries wouldn't buy the book because people would write in it. So it's not a workbook. You'll need scrap paper. It's really a fabulous book for any health professional. And for people, it will give them an idea and understanding of why they have what they have. But without some knowledge of numerology, they won't be able to resolve the issue unless they call me or go see somebody that can interpret the answers.
Okay. Well, well, yeah, absolutely.
The second book, you don't need to know any numerology to use. All you do is follow the formula, add and subtract, all the conceivable answers are already put in the book for you. You just need to look them up.
Okay. Well, maybe it was the second book I was referring to. I might have got my names mixed up there. But on your website as well, let's just go back to your website as well here. You've mentioned before as well that you do exercises for self-empowerment and manifesting, and they're
Yes.
available on your website, aren't they?
Yes, under exercises, there is one called How to Make the Right Decision Every Time. There's another one that shows the challenge and solution chart that you can print out. Another one is How to Find the Ideal Partner. Quite a few exercises, and then there's another section on articles. And the first article is called Abandonment Issues are the Catalyst for our Health Issues, but it explains my philosophy in detail. And then there's only plan A, no plan B. I mean, think this is an important piece for people to get. When we have a plan A, I'm winning the Irish sweepstakes, I'm buying a castle, I'm going to do good things for people, and then you lose. And so you go plan B, well, I guess I'll take that manager trainee job. You can feel the energy drop. Why not just have another plan A? Everything is about perspective. Change your perspective, you can change your reality.
Yes, and one of the points in there on exercises for self-empowerment is, as you've said there, which I would say is quite popular, is find the ideal mate, and I think that when we are with the right person, would you say the numbers align in a sense?
Absolutely, because it's been a setup. The last person I dated, I was a little agitated with the universe about where my partner is. And I went to this dry cleaners on a Monday, and they were closed. And I left my pants in the car. I wanted them shortened. And the next day I'm riding around, I'm having a little chat with Spirit, and I'm going, so what's the story? Where is she? And they said, go to the dry cleaners. So I went back to the dry cleaners. Make a really long story short, I met a woman who also went to the dry cleaners on Monday and they were closed. And so she came back Tuesday at the same time I did. And the compatibility was quite well for a while. And so everything in the universe is set up. You just need to listen to the whispers.
Yes. And some of those whispers sometimes can be ever so slight, can't they? Ever so fine, in a sense. It's really...
Absolutely. You're leaving your house. You're already 5 minutes late for a very important meeting. And as you're running for the door and reaching for it, you hear, grab your umbrella. And you may even look at it, but you're not going to stop, even though it's only 3 seconds. And so you go to the meeting, you come out, it's raining, you catch pneumonia, you go to the hospital, you got a $6,000 bill because you didn't take 2 seconds to grab the umbrella.
And how much in this process, well, through the journey that you've taken with numerology, have you, in this process, listened to your intuitive side? How much do you really go into that gut feeling side sometimes and listen to that inner knowing?
99.9% of the time. The other 0.1%, I get screwed when I don't.
Yeah. So you really, okay. So you're totally embracing that, and you.
I trust it. It works.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I have a client coming for a week. I want to fix up my office and turn it into a bedroom. So I wanted a dresser, and I was going to go to one store, and I checked with Spirit, and they said no. I said, should I go to this one? They said yes. I went to the store, parked the car, got out, walked in the door. There was the dresser I needed for $20. Bought it, put it in the car, and came home. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's because you're in alignment. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I don't argue with them.
Yeah, and that's got to be a key to people listening to this as well. And just going on to the services that you offer, I really do like that. You've got a broad range of services from basic numerology analysts, health analysts, compatibility charts, coaching, future quarterly and annual projections. Any sort of questions? It's a whole range, isn't it, of services you offer?
Yes, and I also do grocery shopping, and I love washing windows.
But that's the extra box. They've got to tick the extra for that.
That's where I get my tips.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So you're available 24/7. Yeah, through this with lots of
Pretty
options.
much,
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyone globally can communicate with you. It's not just they're not just locally, US
No,
based.
they contact me through my website, which is awakener.com. AWAKENER.com.
That's
My
on the
phone
screen
number
now.
and email address are there.
Yep.
I'll do readings on Skype or on the telephone. I have WeChat. So I do readings around the world. I have clients to call from everywhere, including now that it's the beginning of the year, they want to know what the year has in store. So I've been doing a lot of projections.
Right.
And they're accurate. It's not like, I can't explain it other than the numbers tell you what's coming. And you point out the person's reactive pattern, you point out the proactive choice they can make, and the feedback I get is, you're right, it's not me, it's the numbers. Yeah. They're absolutely right on.
Does it always shock you? I mean, have you gone past that stage, or is it always a surprise?
No. I am always blown away every single day. And what I count among my blessings is when a truth has come out, you get those chills, they vibrate from the top of your head down to your toes when you hear a truth or speak it. I call them cosmic orgasms because they feel so good. Oh, and so I love hearing the truth.
Well, and also it's a massive release, isn't it, for those that are suffering in some respects as well. How much would you say karma plays into numerology?
Well, you can actually look at somebody's past lives from their karmic, from the letters omitted from a name. For example, in your name, you're missing the letters G, P, and Y, number 7, and H, Q, and Z, number 8. And you've come back with an achievement number of 2, which is all about involvement with other people. Your middle name is a 9. That's also about doing for others. But there's a tendency to be a little controlling. In other words, romantically in the past, I don't know where you are now, but there were projects, people that were not emotionally or physically available, but you were going to jump in and you were going to save them.
You got me right.
That was your 7.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The 8 karma indicates that in past lives you either misused or abused your power. So now you're coming back to atone for it by doing everything as much as you can for everybody else. Yet the 7 karma says you really don't trust people, so you still wind up doing things yourself. And the big lesson for you is to let go of control and be patient. Everything is going to work the way it's supposed to. So by looking at your karma from other lifetimes, which is where it comes from, unfinished business, it's not good or bad. It's just unfinished business. Then I know why you picked these numbers for your name and what solutions you provided for yourself. It's really clear. It's a duh moment for me.
Wow, that's so true. I've never told that to anyone, but I did feel that in a past life. I really did. I abused power. I felt that, and I don't like it, but I think I did. I'm not in a relationship right now, just to let you know. I mean, I've been single for more than a year now, and it's been the best thing ever I did to take that time out to really get to know myself. And
right, because what we want in a relationship is someone that is complementary, not you're handsome, you're funny, but their abilities and talents mix with ours. Instead, what we look for is an other to complete us, where somebody we can fix so we'll be loved. And that's why relationships don't work. If we took the month and day somebody gets married, that's the purpose of the relationship. And the month and day they got divorced, that's why it didn't work. Numbers can tell you everything.
Yeah, in my previous relationship, not the one I've just come out of, that was more of a karmic one. But in the previous one, like 5-year one, definitely I was a caretaker, and I would never go down that road again.
Yeah, no more projects.
No more projects. Yeah.
Do the list. Make the characteristics very simple. You list all the characteristics you're looking for, and let's say you don't dance, but you would like to dance, and so you put on your list, I want a good dancer. Well, if you don't like dancing and you really aren't going to learn, take that off the list because it's only going to create friction between the two of you. So take it off. If you're not going to do it, take it off.
Okay. Well, I'm interested in hearing a bit more about this. So what does my chart? Have we covered most things about my chart that we can do?
No. My readings take 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, right. Okay. So this was a very brief.
This is you're getting you're getting the 50-cent reading.
That's okay. I'll take that.
A £1 reading. Your soul has come to be of service to others, but in the past it was either doing to be loved or trying to maintain control, and that's because you're right. Most of the time, 99% of the time, you can be right. Kevin comes out to be a 7, very analytical, a lot of difficulty with authority figures because you have no respect. They can't teach you anything. They can't answer your questions. So what makes you an authority? Oh, you're wearing a special hat. I see. So the day you're born, the 22nd, brings something else up, which ties in with your 7 karma. 22 is a master number. It's the master builder. Whether you put tunnels through mountains, cities in the desert, start your own religion, run a multinational company, there's 2 issues. Number 1, you won't do things without pre-approval because with the 7 karma, you don't want to be rejected, embarrassed, or humiliated. To overcome that, you overcome your feeling of inadequacy, and the solution is number 1. Do what you love. That's your soul number. That's your life calling number. And what's interesting, your life calling is 37. This is derived by adding the total of your destiny, month, day, and year of birth, to the total of your name. 3 and 7. Number 7 has a 3 challenge. And it's get out of the way, learn to trust your intuition, stop trying to fix things. It's not your movie. And I think you've gotten to the place where it's not your movie. You're not going to fix things for anybody else anymore. You really like your alone time. You have a thirst for knowledge. And anybody who sits next to you as you learn something new needs to have special patting on their ribs because they get an elbow. Oh, Michael, listen to this. Listen to this. You can't wait to pass this information on to other people. But there's also a tendency to be a little scattered and not to, especially when you were younger, you did not trust what you were getting. Why would you give this to me? I'm not worthy. I'm not that smart. I'm not that good. And so you didn't listen to what you were being told. Once you listen, your confidence raises. Now you're the one, you shift the paradigm, you're center, you're confident, you do things that nobody else has ever done before. You're highly intuitive, you download this information, and you move forward. The only thing that has stopped you in the past was looking over your shoulder. It's a 9 challenge. Are you okay? How about you? Are you doing okay? And every time you turn around, you walk into a telephone pole, knock yourself unconscious, and nobody cares that you're hurt. And that pisses you off. You're not the Messiah. It's not your movie. The vowels in Kevin come out to be 14. 14 is a karmic number indicating excess, too much, out of balance, too much of this, too little of that, somewhat impulsive. And then the consonants, the personality, come out to be an 11, which is the first of the master numbers. This is a very frustrating number because you finally have done enough work to see above the clouds and to see the way things ought to be, but you're not given the power or the opportunity to make it like that. That's when your feeling of inadequacy comes up. That's when the little asides come out. I call it sarcasm, but you mumble under your breath. What was that you said? Oh, nothing. And you're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Way ahead of your time, and basically this is you and this is everybody else. And even when you went for surgery so you can be like them, oh look, it's Kevin the thumb. You are who you are. And you're here basically with an achievement number to be the harmonizer, the mediator, the balancer, to use your voice, to have people come together. but you have to let go of emotional and sentimental attachments and understand that compromise is 50-50, not 51-49 or 99-1. The family dynamic, when I look at more, put it mildly, I think the dominant parent had a bit of a temper and needed to have things done their way. And if you argued, it was
that.
like, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Okay, yeah. There was a more dominant one, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay. This person could have been an innovative visionary making visions into reality, but feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem made them reactionary and very stubborn. When I add the total together, it comes out to be a 12. That reduces to 3. And so they could have been writers, artists, speakers, photographers, or they could have just talked a good game, grandiosity, exaggeration, pretty good socially. But the challenge of 4 says they procrastinated. And that procrastination was coming from not wanting to be embarrassed or humiliated. And the solution, which is 2, which is your achievement number, calls for the family to be more cooperative, to compromise, to speak up, to ask for help, to delegate more to other people. So watching this pattern with a 2 achievement number, you go, okay, I like the way they did it. I'll do it this way. No, I don't like that. I'm going to do it this way. And that was the dynamic you picked for this family.
Wow. Now, Dad, if you're watching that, right? That didn't come from me. But it does describe a little bit of what's been going on there. But isn't that amazing? He doesn't know us from anywhere. And look at that's come through the numbers. And that this reading that you just given me now, for anyone who, wants proof of it, I can say 100% I can resonate with that. And that's, as Michael has said, that's, just a fraction of what a normal reading would last for. And we've only just, hit on some of the major points there, not the whole thing. So that is interesting. And when you give people readings as well, is it recorded? Can it be recorded?
Yes. Oh, it's digitally recorded as an MP3 file.
Right.
And then I can email them electronically the recording of the file of the session.
Yeah.
And then I also send them a copy of the chart.
Right.
So they can watch the chart the first 2 or 3 times, get the mental image down, don't look at the chart, but they've got to listen to the recording 10, 15, 100 times. Every time you listen, something else is going to come off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I record in 20-minute segments, so you don't have to listen for a whole hour. I'll do a segment of introduction, a segment of first, middle, and last name, a segment of soul and personality. So just different segments for you to listen to. It took me 20 years to figure that one out. That's a duh.
Well, these things take shape, don't they? I really mean this, but it's easy for me to say it because it's I'm saying it, but I can only come from being genuine. That as other people have told you as well when you've done it for them. But genuinely, if you told me something different, it wouldn't have resonated. It would not have resonated. What you have gone through there in the small bits really does resonate, and I really appreciate you doing what you did there just to demonstrate it as well.
But may I give one more demonstration?
Okay, sure.
This is the Numeric Daisy-Chain. This is how you go from being reactive to proactive. Okay, the Daisy-Chain for number 2, your core issue and your greatest strength. There was a tendency to be codependent because you needed to be loved and appreciated. You gave up your personal power. You gave up your identity. You were too flexible and didn't have your own foundation. Everything was keyed into doing for everybody else. To break that pattern, to be the harmonizer, mediator, balancer. Number 9, do what you love. 5, you're only the messenger, not the Messiah. Keep moving. 6, you're a mentor and a counselor. 8, use your wisdom, knowledge, and expertise to organize, orchestrate, and delegate. Use the 3 to be able to communicate your visions with passion. And then 2, delegate to others and move on to create again. That's how the daisy chain works.
Well, thank you for that. And just, something that keeps coming in my mind, I just need to ask you this. I know we're almost at the end of the interview here, but for those who aren't too sure what their purpose may be or what they might love to do, I know that, how can someone not know what they would love to do? But if they're not, what have you come across that where, that there's ways for people to get in tune with what they really feel is their passion?
Yes. It starts with the reading, and then I don't work with people 4 or 5 or 6 times. If you want coaching, fine, but it's a one-shot deal, and then the responsibility is yours. Listen to what I told you. This is the blueprint you put together. This is what you guaranteed success at. Who would come down here to be in pain and suffering unless that's what you chose? The rest of us have all chosen success.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And just as a final message, what would you say what would you say could be the most important message of your work?
It's not your movie. Stop trying to fix people. And life is like a restaurant. Order what you want and expect it to arrive. I'm an awakener. When people are ready, they'll find me. And they're ready for the next step, I show up.
I love it. Well, Michael Brill, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Kevin. Bring me back for 3 days. This is an hors d'oeuvre.
I definitely will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.co.uk, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.